Dear friends, monsoon has already arrived, and each year we get some fevers because of monsoon and because of lots of pollution which is settling down in monsoon time. But this year is a very unique year because the fevers have been complicated by the presence of COVID for last 6 months. About a year back, no one knew about COVID, and we were not even thinking of COVID and even investigating and diagnosing and treating COVID. But in 2020 beginning, we have started seeing the pandemic, initially epidemic of COVID, and now it seems that COVID is the only fever which is existing on this planet. However, uh, other fevers like typhoid, malaria, dengue, amoebic liver abscess, viral fevers, they are still existing. And I want to draw an attention to junior doctors and my colleagues that whenever a patient comes with fever, try and think about all these other causes, other fevers which were existing a year before, and they are still existing. They have not vanished, they have not been abolished. So, initially, when a fever patient comes, the simplest thing is to find out if the patient is looking sick. If the patient is looking sick, patient has running nose, patient has got watering eyes, patient is sneezing, think of viral fever, which is very, very common. And the difference between the influenza virus and COVID virus is that in influenza, patient looks very sick. In COVID, patient does not look that sick. In influenza, patient is sneezing, running nose, watering eyes, high grade of fever initially, whereas in COVID, usually it is not a high grade fever. At the same time, it's a dry cough, patient is never sneezing, patient has no runny nose. So if you even do a video consultation, you look at the patient and you can come to know whether patient is suffering from ordinary viral fever or he is having COVID. The beauty of COVID is that this particular virus is not exhibited in a very serious form under the age of 40. So people who are below 40 will not show or probably will not have a serious outcome. They will survive. They may not even need hospitalization. However, if you feel that you have COVID by virtue of clinical judgment, that you got severe headache, you got low grade fever continuously for 3, 4, 5 days, you got dry cough, and you got body pain, probably, and then on top of that, you got anosmia, that is loss of smell or loss of taste. Probably you are suffering from COVID and you should isolate yourself. You may not go for testing, but isolate yourself for at least minimum 2 weeks and use common sense. Common approaches like using mask. At the same time, keep some safe distance and wash your hands and keep your toiletries separate. Your toilet separate. Do not allow and do not mix up with the other family members. These are very, very common measures which one should take and apply rather than going for testing, because even after testing, the things remain, the precautions remain the same. So it is better that you don't expose yourself by going for a COVID test. Otherwise, if you are not suffering or if you're not having COVID, probably you will invite COVID at home and probably you can be the carrier and infect other family members unnecessarily. So try to avoid going for COVID test as far as possible. But one word of caution here is, if you have oxygen saturation which is less than 95 and it is continuously deteriorating day by day, that's the time you should get your COVID test. And if it is positive, go for HRCT, that is called CT scan of the lungs, which is high definition CT. If it shows the changes of COVID, then probably and along with oxygen saturation which is low, you need to be hospitalized immediately, because that is the time where your oxygen can fall suddenly and you can be in trouble. So see that before the saturation worsens, goes below 90, get yourself admitted. However, if you are smoking, if you have got COPD, if your lungs are previously damaged because of some infection, some tuberculosis, some interstitial lung disease, your oxygen saturation is baseline low. That is, some people they have got ILD, that's called interstitial lung disease. The saturation is somewhere around 88 or 90. So in these people, even if the oxygen saturation is low, that is 90 or 88 or 92, you should not hurry up for the admission because these people are vulnerable. And if they go to COVID hospital, and God forbid if they do not have COVID, they will get COVID in the hospital through hospital borne infection. That's called community acquired pneumonia. So all these things you will have to understand. Your relatives, your friends have to understand. Don't get panic. Take a advice probably from a proper doctor, the one who understands this subject very well, a senior doctor, and then go ahead for treatment or for admission accordingly. At the same time, this rainy season, we have talked about COVID, which is with or without rainy season. It has got no relationship with rainy season. It can occur in winter, it can occur in summer, it can occur in rain. But there are certain fevers which are very common, especially in India, and these fevers are on regular basis. They appear during monsoon. So these fevers are malaria. Now, how do you, as a common man, understand malaria? When can you suspect malaria? The malarial fever is very high grade. That means it is 102, 103. It starts suddenly. It starts suddenly, high grade fever, and a lot of headache, a lot of body ache. That's a characteristic. One more characteristic is that it appears at a particular time. Say, for example, you got today at 4 o'clock now a fever with rigor, severe rigor. So much rigor that patient has to take 2, 3, 4 Kumbals, and still they are shivering. So this is very typical. You don't even have to need any test to diagnose malaria. You just see the patient and you can make out malaria. So a very high grade fever with a lot of rigor and appearing at the same time twice a day. In 24 hours, you'll get two peaks. And these two peaks are exactly at 12 hours interval. Say, for example, if you got right now at 4 o'clock, you will again get the same fever in the similar manner at middle of the night at 4 o'clock. This is very characteristic. Anyone can diagnose malaria if they understand this much issue. The second fever to be appearing in this kind of season, rainy season, is dengue. Dengue and malaria, both of them, they they are produced by mosquitoes or mosquito bites. The only difference is that malarial fever or malarial mosquitoes, they breed in a dirty water, as well as this dengue fever, dengue mosquitoes, they breed in clean water. Now, what is the characteristic of dengue? Dengue is again a very high grade fever, but the whole thing in dengue is a person has retroorbital headache, meaning a headache which is basically in the eyes or behind the eyes. Patient eyes are a bit red, they are watering, and the rigors are not that very severe. The rigors or ठंडी जिसको बोलते हैं, they are very mild. You don't need 3 4 kambals. You may need one or two bed sheet. That's all. And this particular fever, uh, when it occurs, dengue, it can become severe. But most of them, say 75 to 80% of them, they don't need active treatment. Just give them crocin for fever and body pain, and just give them complete rest, lot of water, lot of hydration, lemon juice or whatever, and they get all right. In viral fever, even in COVID, even in influenza, you should give lot of water, lemon juice, salt water gargles or betadine gargles, and some turmeric milk or something, which is enough. You don't need any antibiotics. You don't need any HCQS, no ivermectin. Don't give anything. They complicate the matter. In fact, antibiotics will give rise to additionally diarrhea, which is not there, and you'll get dehydrated for nothing. So, in viral fevers, whether it is COVID or no COVID or influenza, you don't need any treatment except for supportive treatment like crocin and hydration. The third thing in rainy season which can come up is swine flu. What is swine flu is again because of a virus, and your oxygen saturation is going down, and similarly body fluid, I mean body pain and whatever it is. But there is a treatment for swine flu. It's a virus, and Tamiflu is the treatment for swine flu. The moment you diagnose swine flu, and you can initiate this particular drug called Tamiflu, I think 75 milligram for 3 days, 25 milligram 2 times a day for 3 days. Uh, that swine flu is treated completely. Unlikely COVID virus, where there is not much of the treatment, there is no antiviral drug still as of today which is effective on COVID. But swine flu, which came about 2 years back, was treated successfully with Tamiflu. So there is a treatment and there is nothing much to be worried about. The other thing which you can develop in this monsoon is jaundice. So how do you clinically judge jaundice? Is that there is a low grade fever, patient is sick looking, but patient will suddenly lose appetite. That's number one. So patient will say, I don't want to eat. I don't like food. So there is sudden aversion for foods and it will keep on increasing. At the same time, there would be little yellowish urine which will come up if you ask the patient what is the color of the urine, and they'll say it's yellowish. So yellow color of urine, a light fever, mild fever, a little kind of nausea, vomiting sensation, and most important is aversion of food. They don't like. Even if someone likes say jalebi, and you give jalebi to him, he will not eat. That is the criteria. You give him the most best liking thing, and the patient will refuse. That is the characteristic of jaundice. The treatment is again supportive. Give him a lot of fluid. If patient is vomiting, then you have to give saline intravenously. Don't give any antibiotics, nothing. It takes its own course for 3 to 4 days and it goes away on its own. The improvement will be seen when the patient starts eating on its own, but don't try to give all Ayurvedic medicines or some kind of kada or something which will or which may deteriorate liver condition, and patients jaundice can get complicated. So don't try to use home remedies and some magic remedies and some kind of powders, and it will do more harm than good. Another thing which is important in this, especially in women, is a kind of urinary tract infection. So how do you try to make out? The urinary tract infection again is coming with very high grade fever, 103, 104, especially in a female, and there would be a lot of pain below the umbilicus. That is number two. There would be a difficulty in passing urine or painful urination. That is number three. Patient will feel little kind of vomiting. That's number four. So if a young woman uh, starts complaining of lower abdominal pain, very high grade fever, with shivering and difficulty in passing urine, burning urine, you try and think of urinary tract infection. Give appropriate antibiotic, give lot of water. It settles down usually with antibiotics in 5 days. The another causes which is which are little rare, but still it can happen. They are amoebiasis, that is loose motion. You'll get number of loose motion, say 7, 8, 10. Sometimes with vomiting. You can get gastroenteritis, that is because of eating outside food in this rainy season. And you take appropriate metrogyl or some antibiotics, what we call it as Norflox TZ, 3 days, and with along with curd and rice and buttermilk and apple juice. Uh, Usually within 2 to 3 days, sometimes within one day, you get all right, depending upon the poison which has gone inside through the food. The one more thing which is again a complication of this diarrhea and this poison is amoebic liver abscess. What is amoebic liver abscess is sometimes this jumps, they go from intestine to your liver, and this liver gets swollen, you get severe pain on the right side just below the ribs, and you do sonography and you find liver abscess. There is a pus in the liver. Again, the treatment is metronidazole and chloroquine. Usually it takes about 7 to 15 days. Rarely you have to tap, you have to put a needle and take out that pus from the liver, and it gets cured very easily. Now, the fevers which remain more than 1 week, more than 10 days, you have to find the rare causes of fever, and that could be tuberculosis. So you'll have to take X-ray chest and find out if there is any TB in the which is seen on chest X-ray. At the same time, if a fever persists for more than a month or so, one can think of very rare disorders like lymphoma, that is a kind of cancer, and brucellosis or autoimmune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, infectious mononucleosis, brucellosis, but for which you need to have expert opinion, and don't try to mingle around, don't try to think something, don't try to Google, go to a senior doctor, consultant, and get yourself treated. One very common fever which is non-infectious, which many people, even many doctors, they have difficulty in diagnosing, is called thyroiditis. So anyone who has got pain in the throat, it is almost like tonsil pain. He has got difficulty in swallowing and fever. You try and don't give antibiotics. Try and test him for thyroid. And if thyroid antibodies are positive, that is called thyroid peroxidase antibody. Think of thyroiditis, very easy to treat, and never give antibiotics in that. Another which is very rare cause and which is again a common thing, again you should not treat by yourself, is called SLE or rheumatoid arthritis or autoimmune disorders. They also can give rise to this kind of fever, and you should not treat this kind of so, or probably don't try to diagnose or self-diagnose or self-medicate, because it can prove dangerous. So friends, I've given you some idea about fevers. Try and understand in your own way, and then take doctor's advice and treat yourself properly. Thank you very much. God bless you.